Hello everyone, this is Hinza here, CEO of NFTs 224, Japan's first decentralized media platform built on the definitive blockchain, transforming how the journalism content is created, owned, and rewarded. I'm also the founder of Asia Web3 Alliance Japan that aim to connect the companies, startup, experts, and on a single platform for this collaboration and business expansion in the Asia and Japan. Welcome to our NFT Studio 24 podcast series. On today's episode, we have a Chris, an ex-Apple developer and now Chief Technology at the Blockdaemon. He is an expert in the technical payment, access, tech transit, identity, and the distributed ledger technology. Chris has over more than 23 years experience in the tech industry, building and leading inclusive cutting-edge global engineering teams. We are glad to have you with us, Chris. Please introduce yourself and tell us about your career, that for how you shifted technology with the blockchain.
Sure, sounds good. Thanks again so much for having me. I really appreciate it. That's been quite a journey. As you mentioned, I was actually at Apple for years, and in 2022, joined Blockdaemon as a CTO. Prior to leaving Apple, I spent from about 2013 till 2022 building Apple Pay on the server side. That included everything from what you think of as credit and debit and payments, transit here in Tokyo. Suica was something that my team built from the ground up, and that was really wonderful for the launch of the iPhone 7. So that was really quite a wonderful experience. And then worked before that on some things related to electronic SIM, all sorts of fun things. At one point decided from about 2016 onwards have been personally fascinated by blockchain and, well, what can I do to kind of marry my personal interests with my professional interests, and started talking to our CEO, Constantine, who's just an absolute visionary in this space. And he said, come give it a try, and here I am. And it's been a whole lot of fun, and I keep learning new things every day. So that's the best part.
Amazing. When I about your journey in on Google, Internet, and LinkedIn, I really amazed. You work to build Find My Phone, eSIM, Apple Pay, which are some of the biggest application in the world. You presented Apple with the idea of the building decentralized identity service. I want to continue your conversation regarding the trust factor and the fraud. Currently, many Web3 users are worried about the security, frauds, risks in crypto. How can we overcome in this is the term of the technology. When we discuss about the blockchain, these three words directly connected to this technology.
And let me answer the question from two different angles. From a Blockdaemon perspective, we're primarily a B2B company. The question is, what are we doing to sort of make the world safe and in a better place? Well, the first thing is, we go through a very rigorous sort of what's called KYB, or know your business process, where we're making sure that we're only doing businesses with other businesses that we can authenticate. And we have third-party providers that we use to make sure that we're keeping the bar really high. We're compliant with all global US regulations as far as OFAC lists and KYB and KYC and AML. We're continuing to innovate and add new capabilities to our products. Our institutional wallet, will have an integration with Chainalysis, which is a leading provider there that will again help make sure that the transactions flowing through that product are compliant and safe. We're also ISO certified, right? So we've got all of our processes, meaning, a bad internal actor can't change our software because we actually have guarantees that the people that are writing the software aren't the people that are deploying the software. Financially audited accounts, another good example, right? Where, we're not doing things behind the scenes that could be considered fraudulent ourselves because they're all right there and out in the open. If you flip to the other side of things and you say, okay, what can the industry do from a consumer perspective to keep people safe? A couple of things come to mind. It's just, making sure that when you're interacting with a decentralized app that what that app does and who's written it and how does it work, providing sort of, if you rewind your memory a long, long way and you think about early days in web browsers, before HTTPS was common, you could go to a site and be tricked into going to another site. And then later we got these big red, warnings in front of us saying, the CNAME is different than the host you're trying to access or whatever the case might be. And so nowadays we don't even think about it. You just see the green checkbox
Yes.
in Chrome or Safari, and it's safe to go to that website because all of the infrastructure that's in place that's gone there. And I think with Web3, you'll see similar kinds of things with, maybe it's the, Ethereum naming system or something that helps you take that long hexadecimal address and turn it into something that's a little bit easier to remember. Some combination of, authenticating these smart contracts and then also, giving users actually a real, like, reasonable chance at knowing that the address they think they're interacting with is theirs or is the correct one, or whatever it might be. And then obviously there's some other kinds of things in terms of social engineering and just making sure we're educating people, like you get a call and someone's telling you to send them Bitcoin, maybe there's something, maybe you should be asking other kinds of questions, both technical and I think just general education will help move things forward.
As an institutional oriented company, how does the block demon adopt its rules and policy based on the compliance of each country? Can you explain it more about detail?
Part of it is we are structured as a company so that certain parts of our businesses are in certain places. So our staking business is largely in Ireland, and our U.S. business has a lot of non-validator nodes and these sorts of things. And we are 100% compliant with all local regulations, but it's also an area of emerging regulation, right? And so what we try to do is do the right thing first before people ask us, right? There was no reason for us to spend all the money getting ISO certified. And the number of people within the company that were pulling their hair out going through this with the regulators was just crazy. And we have to do this every year. So it's not just do it once and then forget about it, right? But we did that before anyone asked, right? We didn't have to do financially audited accounts, but we did that because it's the right thing to do, right? And so, and in some ways, when we think about places like Japan, we look at really what a wonderful job that the regulators have done here, because they've kept the consumer safe, right? Like there's no Japanese consumer that lost any money via FTX, which is phenomenal, right? When you think about it. And so I really feel like we're gonna see Japan and the Japanese market sort of leapfrog the rest of the world because there's been a lot of thoughtfulness that's gone into keeping consumers safe. And as we look to expand our business here, we're looking at our products and saying, well, what do we need to do to make them just really successful here? And some of the things around our institutional wallet and building sort of a cold wallet capability were done because we can't be successful here without that kind of a feature because of the regulations.
I really like your vision about that one. Bring innovation to traditional system in a big challenge. What is your advice to execute or entrepreneur who are struggling to convince their investor about the blockchain technology?
Yeah. I mean, I think understanding it at a deep level is helpful because as we were talking before the interview, there are times where, it's not the right fit and that's okay. Decentralization is amazing in that it creates this completely trustless system. But if you don't have an issue of trust, then there are probably other technologies that scale far better, that are easier to use, certainly easier to find developers for. When I think about people having conversations about, is this the right thing, is it the wrong thing? Well, I think it comes down to trust and transparency. One of the use cases that I am sort of re-excited about because it's nothing new, but again, it's seeing a resurgence is the sort of tokenization of real world assets. That is a wonderful, wonderful fit both for the business and the technical, right? On the technical side of things, it's a perfect fit for the kinds of problems that you have, right? If you are, creating a stable coin, which is in some ways a token to the sort of fiat currency, you want that to be instantaneous. You want it to be transparent, not be manipulatable by any entity, right? And so a decentralized technology in that case makes a huge amount of sense. when you think about inefficiencies in large, markets like a bond market, or tokenization of real world assets becomes a really great fit. And so there's little that you need to do in terms of convincing when you have such a good alignment, I guess, from my perspective.
Okay, that's great. So Japan's Web3 regulatory firm is quite different from the US and Singapore. What is your experience? Can you share your good experience with us?
My experience is really from a former life, in terms of, building Apple Pay here, building the Suica transit system here, and just developing a real love and appreciation for everything Japan. I don't have a great answer for you on the crypto side of things. Unfortunately, I've been sort of living through our attorneys who are looking at, rules and laws and regulations, and trying to align some of our products, in particular our institutional wallet,
Mm.
which is MPC based. It's 100% on-prem, and we think with the, sort of cold wallet capability that we've added, is now not only compliant, but is a just great fit for Japan. But again, I'm, as a CTO, relying on team members within the company to help me understand some of those details, and to be totally transparent with you on that.
Okay, that's great. So, Asia Web3 Alliance Japan is the association and registered in Japan mission to drive the Web3 innovation and to collaborate the global market and break the language barrier for the companies, startup investors who are looking to expand in business in Asia and also to in Japan. So, what's the difference? Do you think that as a foreigner, really the people need a platform to space in the Japanese market?
We talked a little bit about this before the interview, and frankly, I wasn't super familiar with that. But I think, in general, when you have an emerging technology, you need to get a diverse group of people together to be able to share ideas, best practices, to poke holes, to be able to, pressure test. A lot of times, if you get a group of people that are really good at writing standards together, but people that aren't good at, helping translate those standards into law, you end up with something that doesn't work great, right? And we see examples of that in other places in the world. So I can only imagine that, having 200 plus, or however many, entities involved in those discussions could only make it better, and it would actually be required for something that's this sort of cutting edge, and something that, isn't really completely easy to understand. When you think about decentralized finance, let's just take something basic like an automated market maker, right? From a math perspective, it's a very simple equation, right? But the idea that you can take something that for years and years traditional finance was using, behind the scenes and secretive in some ways, right? And then, create a smart contract and code that everyone can see and can understand, that balances supply and demand and changes price very dynamically, is it's simple, but it's beautiful. And when you start to try to explain that to someone, and if they come from a finance background, they'll be like, oh, duh, like we've been doing that for 50 years. But to have automated that business process, and to put it all on chain, in a decentralized manner, is actually pretty amazing and wonderful. And so getting these kinds of concepts to be well understood across a larger diverse group of companies and people, I think, is one of the reasons why you have these kinds of entities.
Okay, that's good. I have a question for you. It's really right now in Japan, it's just like a debate because you know that Japan is going to be released. They have give the permission to release a stable coin, especially to the banking sectors. So we can be transfer our actual currency into a virtual currency, or you can say that a stable coin currency. But still the people are thinking that why we want to be convert these currency. We have a Suica card, we have a Passmo card like this one, we have a other digital payment system. So why we will be shifted our currency to the crypto? So do you have any remarks about this one and how you participate in this debate?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that I would be qualified to participate in the debate, but I can say that I think from an end user perspective, it makes sense, right? If you have a Suica card, and you can go use it at a quick service restaurant, or you can use it at a vending machine, or you can use it in the metro. That's pretty useful. I can top it up with a credit card or a debit card. That's pretty cool. But I think that the benefit with stablecoin is that, again, you start to be able to do sort of on-chain swaps, right? So if I wanted to swap a Japanese stablecoin for some sort of official sanctioned okayed US stablecoin, and do that without having to pay exorbitant fees, or wait until the store or some kind of location is open, 24/7, 365, using decentralized finance, I can do that, and so that's pretty cool, right? Yeah, I think that the ability to send these things to individuals anytime, any place, also is a big differentiating feature, right? When you're thinking about electronic cash, vis-a-vis Suica or Pasmo, these sorts of things, you can't send it to anyone, right? You might be able to import it into your iPhone by tapping, this sort of thing, but if I wanted to send it to you, that wouldn't work the way those systems work today. So there's also some amount of reconciliation that occurs for those systems to keep the balances up to speed and correct. And as far as I know, they all work perfectly, but of course, by going to a decentralized ledger, the balances, everything, the instantaneous settlement is all right there for everyone to see, 24/7, 365. Between other additional capabilities like some of the online use cases, some of the swapping, exchanging, and then the transparency, I would put a vote in the camp of this is actually something that's different. If you're thinking purely in person, then yeah, maybe there's something that could be said there. But I think when you start talking about online and person to person, the stablecoin solution has a lot of benefits.
So as the Asia Web3 Alliance Japan recently announced a stablecoin subcommittee who support the stablecoin and DeFi companies, especially in the Japan market. And we are going to be giving the single platform for that. So what do you think about that? How important it to unite the ecosystem to initiate the cross-border operation?
I think that there's a lot of little steps along the way that you have to do, right? When you think about tokenization of real world assets, like how do I pay for those assets, right? Like if you had a stable coin and it was legal, and it directly flowed in and out of my bank account, then all of a sudden there's a lot of like network effects that start to happen. And certainly you could imagine a step further where I've got sort of international remittances too. That could be absolutely an important kind of capability that would be almost trivial with a stable coin. Right? You marry that with some of the decentralized finance that we were talking about earlier, and all of a sudden now you have something that is a game changer. Now, depending on the corridor from an international remittance perspective, the sending money from one place to another can be virtually free in some cases, and in other cases is very expensive. As we think about these decentralized technologies becoming sort of factors in how we democratize some of the capabilities that we're all used to, sort of financial inclusion, then you start to imagine why that could be a really good thing, right? If there are places in the world where it's just super expensive to get money from point A to point B, and these capabilities vis-a-vis the stablecoin allow you to do that instantaneously and at a very low cost, then that sort of just benefits everyone.
Let's go to the last questions. How's your experience to join the Blockdaemon, and how's the team about that one? Please share your experience there.
Yeah, I mean, it's been such a wonderful opportunity. I've gotten to consistently be, pulled into board meetings with our founder and CEO, Constantine. We acquired a company called CPOR that does some of the best MPC in the world. One of the last companies there. And so being able to, sit with them in Aarhus, Denmark, and just see these brilliant guys working on this stuff has just been amazing. We're a remote first company, right? And so that's both a blessing and a curse. It's a blessing because you've got the ability to work from wherever you might happen to be. On the other hand, you've got people in different time zones, and I feel like sometimes you've got to say things multiple times or say things and draw a picture, and yet we're literally just cranking out new updates to our products. For me, it's been something that I'm very proud of, and I've just been enjoying so much. We've got a great product team, we've got a great engineering team, and we're at a point now where we've come through this very difficult year, and in kind of a very difficult bear market, and we're stronger than ever. And that's a real testament to the folks that are there, and what we've been doing and working on. We do have some offices. Like I mentioned, we have an office in Singapore. We've got an office in Galway, Ireland. We've got an office in Aarhus, Denmark. Those become kind of little hubs of innovation and places where people gather and get together. Working through Zoom is really hard. But we did a workshop in Lisbon at the beginning of the year in January, and we had probably 25 or so block demons. We call them demons, block demons. It was just amazing because you end up working through a lot of things that if you were trying to do remotely would be tough. But when you're in person, there's a lot of camaraderie and a lot of, I think, a lot of respect, because we've really built, I think, a world-class team.
Okay, I really like your energy. Thank you so much, Chris, to join us. And Asia Web3 Alliance Japan is dedicated to build a comprehensive platform where the company and individual can thrive and drive the Web3 innovation together. If you are interested to expand your business, so please join us, and don't forget to support the Blockdaemon company. All information will be linked below. So see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye. Thank you, Chris.
All right.